politician stands at the podium and makes the promise. We did not raise your income taxes, not 1 cent. The media applauds. The headline reads, "Middle class protected. Tax rates hold steady." And the next morning you walk into a grocery store and spend $40 on what cost $28 18 months ago. Your rent renewal arrives and the number is 15% higher than last year. Your auto insurance premium increased again, the third increase in 2 years. Your utility bills are up. Your childcare costs are up. The cost of a basic used car has doubled since 2019, but your tax rate did not change. So officially nothing happened. This is the largest financial crime in modern history, not because it is illegal, because it is legal, deliberate, and mathematically precise, and because it is designed specifically to be invisible to the people paying it. You are being taxed, not on a W-2 form, not on a sales receipt, not through any mechanism that shows up in the official language of taxation. You are being taxed through the slow, engineered destruction of what your money can actually buy. And the people running this system are counting on you never connecting those two facts. The Roman warning to the modern trap. 2,000 years ago, Roman emperors had the same problem every government in history has faced. They needed more money than honest taxation could provide. Armies were expensive. Borders were expensive. Bureaucracy was expensive. Political survival was expensive. Their solution was elegant and brutal. They took the silver coins in circulation, melted them down, mixed in cheaper metals, and minted more coins from the same quantity of precious metal. The coins looked the same. They bore the imperial seal. They carried the same official face value. They contained less silver. Prices rose to compensate. Merchants were not stupid. They noticed that more coins were needed to buy the same goods. The state had not passed a tax law, but ordinary Romans paid through the inflation that coin debasement produced. Modern governments do not need scissors to shave metal from coins. They have central banks. The mechanism is more sophisticated, more abstract, and more difficult to trace, but it operates on the same principle. When a government issues debt it cannot realistically repay, and the central bank purchases that debt by creating new currency, purchasing power is transferred out of every existing unit of currency in circulation. Your savings account did not shrink in nominal terms. The number stayed the same, but the number now buys less. The purchasing power that used to exist in those dollars was quietly transferred to the government that spent the newly created money first, to the contractors and institutions that received it, to the financial system that processed it. You paid. The payment was extracted not from your bank account directly, but from the value of what your bank account represents. This is not an accident of macroeconomic forces. It is the predictable and documented consequence of deliberate policy choices. Understanding those choices is the first step to protecting yourself from them. Stage 1. The inflation tax. The slow leak. Inflation is not a natural disaster. It is not a weather event that arrives without human agency and affects everyone equally. It is a policy outcome, the consequence of specific decisions about how much currency to create, how much debt to issue, and at what rate to allow the money supply to expand relative to the productive capacity of the economy. When governments run persistent deficits, spending significantly more than they collect in revenue, and those deficits are financed through monetary expansion rather than genuine savings, the result is more currency competing for the same quantity of goods and services. Prices adjust upward. The critical asymmetry is in who benefits and who pays. The government's existing debt, measured in nominal dollar terms, becomes easier to service as prices rise. Fixed debt obligations do not change when the currency is debased. The real burden of repayment declines with every percentage point of inflation above the interest rate on that debt. The institutions and individuals who receive newly created money before price levels have fully adjusted benefit at the old prices. They spend the new currency into an economy where costs have not yet reflected the expansion. The wage earner, the saver, the retiree on a fixed income, they absorb the adjusted prices after the monetary expansion has worked its way through the system. Their nominal balances may be unchanged. Their purchasing power has been reduced. This is not incidental redistribution. It is the documented, predictable consequence of a monetary architecture where the entities that create and distribute currency extract the benefit of that creation before the cost is distributed to the rest of the population. The hard asset owner, the person holding real estate, equities, commodities, businesses with pricing power, sees the nominal value of their holdings rise with inflation. Inflation is a headwind for them, but not a structural threat. The person holding wages and cash savings has no such protection. Inflation does not raise the real value of a savings account. It reduces it. The system knows exactly who pays this tax. It was designed with that outcome in mind. Stage 2. Bracket creep. The invisible penalty. You receive a 5% salary increase. In isolation, this sounds like progress, a raise, recognition of your contribution, a step forward. But inflation is running at 8%. Your 5% raise has not kept pace with the cost of living. In real terms, in terms of what your income actually purchases, you have taken a pay cut. Your nominal income increased. Your purchasing power declined. Now introduce the tax system. Your higher nominal income may push you into a higher tax bracket, or reduce the value of deductions and credits that phase out at specific income thresholds, or subject more of your income to payroll taxes, or reduce your eligibility for certain benefits. The tax system sees a higher number on your return. It treats that number as evidence of improved financial circumstances. In reality, you're earning more inflated dollars in a more expensive world, paying a higher effective tax rate on that income, and ending up with less real purchasing power than you had before the raise. This mechanism, called fiscal drag or bracket creep, is one of the most effective tools in the hidden taxation toolkit precisely because it requires no political decision to activate. Governments do not need to vote for a tax increase. They simply need to decline to index tax brackets, deductions, and thresholds fully to inflation. The inflation that monetary policy produces does the rest automatically. The tax burden rises without a single politician having to stand at a podium and defend a rate increase. You feel like you're moving forward. The system is structured to ensure you are not, and the gap between the forward movement you perceive and the backward movement you're actually experiencing is collected quietly by the state. Stage 3. Death by 1,000 fees. The micro-extraction. The federal and central government mechanisms are the large-scale extraction, but the system has local counterparts that operate through different channels with equally precise effect. Property taxes in many American jurisdictions are assessed against estimated market values. During the inflationary period of 2021 through 2023, residential real estate values in many markets increased dramatically. Property tax assessments followed. Homeowners who had not moved, had not improved their property, and had not experienced any change in their actual financial circumstances found their annual property tax bills significantly higher because the nominal value of their home had risen in an inflationary environment. The home did not generate more income. The owners were not richer in any meaningful sense. But the tax bill increased because the dollar-denominated number assigned to their property increased, along with every other dollar-denominated price in the economy. Toll roads that once charged fixed rates have moved to dynamic pricing or regular inflation adjustments. Licensing fees, permit costs, regulatory compliance expenses for small businesses, administrative charges for government services that were once lower or free. These micro-extractions accumulate across hundreds of interactions annually into a material household cost. Each individual charge feels small: a parking fee, a permit renewal, a slightly higher toll. The accumulation across a year is not small, and it falls disproportionately on the households least able to absorb it, because these fees are not indexed to income. They are flat charges in a system where flat charges represent a larger percentage of a smaller budget. The federal government extracts through inflation and bracket creep. The local government extracts through asset-based taxes on inflated values and escalating fees. The financial system extracts through the Cantillon Effect. The combination is a comprehensive and mathematically precise extraction from the middle class that operates entirely within the existing legal framework while leaving the official tax rate unchanged. The state will never willingly abandon the tools that allow it to extract resources without announcing a tax increase. The political incentive runs in exactly the opposite direction. Visible taxes create visible anger. Invisible extraction creates no organized resistance because it creates no visible event to organize against. The system depends on financial illiteracy. It depends on the majority of people understanding taxation only as the lines on a tax return, and not understanding that inflation, bracket creep, asset-based taxes on inflated values, and the Cantillon dynamics of monetary expansion are all forms of extraction operating continuously beneath the visible tax system. You cannot save your way to financial security in a currency designed to lose purchasing power. You cannot protect your wealth by holding instruments denominated in a currency that monetary policy is structurally committed to devaluing over time. What you can do is understand the mechanism, recognize it when it is operating, and make financial decisions that account for the full system of extraction, not just the visible portion that appears on official forms. The system relies on your ignorance, wealth history. Vision is here to make sure they don't get it. Subscribe and stay awake in a sleeping world.